In this video, I want to go over a web browser known as the NAVER Whale web browser. Now, if you found this video on YouTube, I will provide a link below the video to show you how to install it on your system and more about the browser. Now, I'm using Ubuntu Mate 20.04.2, the long-term support, and I'm using the traditional desktop, so I'm going to go to Applications, Internet, and there is the NAVER Whale browser icon and link. So I click onto it. The first time you load it, it looks similar to this. It will, the first time you run it, ask you, do you want to make it your default browser? Do you want to send statistics back to the company? And I chose to untick both of those. I never like to install a new browser and immediately make it the default browser. Now on the screen right here, you can see you have your back button, forward button, reload button, your home button, and you don't have to have your home button set as the same as your start when you first initially, or new tab on here. You can change your widgets, you can customize the way it looks, you can provide feedback here. It shows you the name of the link to the wallpaper. There's your clock, and if you like an analog clock, or even show like your favorites, which is here like the speed dial on the Opera browser. Here's like the speed dial where you can put your favorites. Here's the digital clock along with the date and time, and then here's the analog clock. So you can change it that way, or you can go down to this link here and you can customize your wallpaper by their whale themes. You can go, if you've got an account, go here and change the background, or you can find a wallpaper from your system, select a file to change the different backgrounds here. Now you can also go and change the style of widgets or change the look of them. Like you can put your favorites like speed dials, your digital clock, or you can change it to analog clock, or you can even turn the widgets off. You can choose what widgets you want to be displayed, and like I said, you can click here for wallpaper. If you have an account, you can sync your settings every time you load. I can turn that off because I didn't create a Naver account, and I'll show you in just a moment that as well. You can show the widgets on. You can say always. Like if you want to change, you can go in here and make settings or change your settings for customizing this particular web page. Here's like where you can put your favorites, so you don't really have to find a bookmark. You can just click and put some of your common favorites here, so it'll quickly go to it. You can make a to-do list by adding it here. Click on the to-do list to look at your list regularly. Here's, like I said, where you send feedback. Here's the sidebar. Now the sidebar has links by default. You can customize it by adding links to it, but these are links to this is where you log in if you've got an account, but these are like very similar to Google, where it has features like your documents, your spreadsheets, and things to where they're web applications. So if you don't want to use their web applications and create an account, you can turn the sidebar off. I don't like a sidebar. It uses up real estate from the surfing. So you can go to your settings by clicking the three dots. This is very similar since it's like a Chromium based browser. You can say hide the sidebar, and you can look, and there's shortcut keys, so you can press Control plus and then that little symbol there to show the sidebar, so you can use it like a toggle switch. This is the way I like it. Now, like I said earlier, you don't have to have your home page. A new tab is the same. I set my home page to like Bing, so if I'm somewhere and click the home, and it's not necessarily that I like the Bing browser, I just like the different icons of or the different pictures, backgrounds each day on the Bing here. Looking through your menu, you've got your mobile, your new, your secret. This can be installed on multiple platforms. It can be installed on Windows, Linux, Mac, iOS, and even Android devices. You can look through your history through here, and as you can see some of the places I've recently been. You can go directly to your downloads folder. You can look through your bookmarks, your scrapbook, show or hide your sidebars. You can immediately go in your settings, where you can make very similar settings to Chrome and Chromium based settings. You can change your appearance, and once you install it, it will navigate you through choosing the different colors and things, and if you always want to go back and change those, you can go through these settings here. You got your windows and tabs, to where you can control the way that your tabs behave, the way what shows up in your sidebar, the way your address bar works, how like you can turn on spell check features, how media players work. You can turn on a web page translation, but I can tell you that this doesn't always work great. And in a few moments I can show you an extension, which is here, that's the best extension I know for browsers that are from a different country than your native language, and I'll show you that in a few moments. Here's your download and capture, and you do have a capture feature built into the browser, and I'll show you that in a few moments. You can control the way your mouse works, your shortcuts. These are your shortcut keys, and there's a lot of them. Here's where you can adjust it for browsing, for privacy. You can say to clear your browsing data. And if you're like on a public computer, or if a lot of people uses the computer, you can set like a PC public PC mode so that it clears the data every time you log out, or when you close. Well, it erases all your tracks, and it here also clears out your data while closing, so you can turn that feature on. The bad thing about turning that feature on is it clears out all your cookies and places that you've been, so when you go to click the drop down, it won't have places that you've recently been to. It will wipe those out. Some people like that for privacy settings. I don't have those turned on right now, but if I had a lot of people use my computer, I probably would. Now, it's got a built-in password manager. Ever since someone got into my Gmail account, I now use Bitwarden, which I'm not logged in here. I've not logged in any accounts using passwords since it's a new browser, but it does have a where you can store your passwords. But I recommend using Bitwarden or another password manager rather than using the default built-in password manager, because if someone ever got into your account, they could sync, and if you had passwords stored within the browser, they could sync and have access to your passwords. If you got a password manager, even though they might sync the extension, they couldn't get into it without knowing your username and password to get into all your passwords to websites. You have other security features here that you can enable and disable. Accessibility, you can turn on things that meet your needs. Performance, you can kind of control some of the performance. Like I turn off continue running in the background. I don't want some of the applications to run in the background using up memory. By default, that is turned on, but I like to go to performance and turn that off, so when I close the browser, nothing's running from this browser in the background. If you're having trouble with screen tearing, you might want to disable that to see if that helps, and if not, you can re-enable it for your hardware acceleration. Here's a little bit about the NAVER Whale, and you can look here. When you click about, it will go and across the internet, check whether there's an update. If there's an update, you can click on it to install the update. And here's where you can view all these settings by scrolling down by using the scroll bar. So that's a quick look through your settings. Now let me go to my website and I'll show you how to install it. Now once you get to my website, there's two ways that you can access it from my website. You can go to additional software and click on browsers, and each of these browsers are browsers made for Linux, but most of these are browsers that can be used on multiple platforms, especially Windows and Mac operating systems. Now here's the NAVER Whale browser link. You could also access it by going to additional software, going to browsers, and navigating through the menu by clicking here. Now, a brief description: NAVER Whale is a freeware browser developed by the Naver Corporation, which is a technology company from South Korea. So by default, a lot of the sites will be in the Korean language, but like I said, it's got a built-in translator, but this is the best translator I've ever installed. It works very similar to the built-in translator of Google, but you can turn this on for certain websites and you don't even notice it's happening, except if you scroll down very quickly, you can see it immediately turn to the default language of your system, or whatever language you choose to. Now if you click this link here, it should detect what version or what operating system you're using. So if you click the download link, if you're on a Windows system, it should download an executable file. It should detect what system you're using. Now when I say it's a Linux operating system, it downloads for Ubuntu and Debian based systems. So when I click the download link, it will actually start downloading a deb file so that I can install it from the Debian based and Ubuntu based systems. If you're using like a Fedora or any other, you could use a program like Alien and convert it over to RPM and install it on your system, and it should work. I've seen where other people has done it successfully. So once you downloaded the file, and as you can see here, it will match your platform. I'm on a 64-bit system, and it will download the deb extension. So that's what it will look like. You next go and locate that particular installation file, and like a Windows system, you just double click onto it and it should open up your package installer. If for some reason you don't have a good package installer in your system, I recommend open up your terminal. If you're on an Ubuntu or Debian based system, copy the whole thing of sudo apt-get install gdebi, and this is the gdebi package installer. So once it pops up, you just click the install package, put your password in, hit authenticate, and it should take a few moments and it will install. Do not close the package manager until you see the same version is already installed and the reinstall and remove package buttons, and then you can close it out. Just because it's got a remove package, you don't have to save this file. If you want to, you can, and that's a good way to remove it. You don't have to hit remove package. You can delete this once you close that and remove it like you do most Debian based systems. Sudo apt-get remove, and the name of the program which you see here is NAVER-Whale. whale-stable, and it will remove it from your system. Now, I do recommend if you're using Ubuntu 20.04 or newer that you put this in your terminal. So you just copy this, open up your terminal, put that into your terminal, press the enter return key, put in your password, and what you're doing is you're removing this public key for this new version. The Ubuntu repositories will not identify this key. When you go to update your system, it will cause an error message. That's not to say you can't update this browser. You can. It's just with these newer versions of Ubuntu, the key's not working for those. I'm not sure about older versions. I no longer have a system with an older version installed, but I do see where people that has earlier versions, people are saying to leave the key and it's working. So I don't know. If you have the trouble, then you can just open up your terminal, put that in there, and it will remove it. Now, once you've got it installed, you may have to reboot your system. Then it should be in your menu. As you can see here, I go to Applications, Internet, and as you can see, there's the NAVER Whale. Well, depending upon what type of Linux system you're using to access the browser. Now, once you load it for the first time, you will see a little dialog box appear where it says make NAVER Whale the default browser and automatically send usage statistics and crash reports to Naver. I disable both of those. I don't know what it's collecting. I don't know if it's my IP address. I don't know, and especially since I'm not very familiar with this browser, I just simply uncheck both of those and I hit agree. You can always go in the settings and recheck those if you'd like to make it your default browser, or if you'd like to send the crash reports to the Naver company. Now, it will open by first time to a welcome screen. If you'd always like to go back to that welcome screen, you can just open a new tab, put //welcome, and this is like the first time you load it minus the little dialog box where you make it the default and the sends crash reports. You can click the get started link, and then if you'd like to import from a Firefox or any other browser like Chrome or whatever that you want, you can hit import and it'll bring your bookmarks. If you have passwords within the browsers, which I no longer do, it will import everything that you choose to import. You can skip this, or then when you're finished you can go next. You can pick what color scheme. I like the purple and black theme. You can choose whatever skin that you like. You know, that purple what there is for the tabs you can see, and the black is for the title bar. So you can choose whatever color. If you like a solid one, you can choose a solid one. The different colors, as you can see when you're going through here, and that looks nice too. But for some reason, I just like this one because it matches the dark of my dark theme. Go next. You can choose the way it behaves. You can say the Whale new tab or the Naver, what you choose here. I just kept it the default, and when you do, you hit done, and then it will take you to the page, but it will, from the first time, as you can see, show you where your home button is, that you can type here in the address bar to go. You can do a screen capture, or you can go to the tab settings. So you can click here to make that go away, and I'll close the tab setting going back to my browser. So that's what it looks like the first time that you install the browser, that you can set it up to import things from your existing browsers. Now, it will come by default with showing the sidebar, and since these are links to web applications, I don't use them. I turn off the sidebar. So you can view the sidebar or hide the sidebar by going to your three dots, which is your settings menu, and turn the sidebar off. There are other features. It does have a web store built into the browser or the company, that they have their own web store where you can install extensions, or you can also go to the compatible store, which is the Chrome web store. So if you go here, you go down extension apps, you got three choices. You can look at the extensions that are installed by default. Now, I installed Bitwarden HTTPS. I didn't install the music player, so it has a built-in music player, as the Naver Memo, as the Naver Webtoon. You can remove these, the ones that were installed by default. I did add the pop-up blocker from Chrome. I added Privacy Badger, and I added Translate, and I added uBlock Origin, but I didn't add this one. You can remove it. I don't even know what that is, but you can remove it by hitting remove here, remove it, and that way you get rid of your extension. That's how quickly. You can go to the web store by clicking here. You can go and update, or you can go load, unpack, pack extensions if you got it in develop mode. But let's go back and look at the other extension apps. The other one is the Whale store. I'll go ahead and close this one. So that way you can manage your extensions, and you can scroll down it. You can continue scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And one thing I like about this browser is it becomes narrow. It was wide so you can click on and drag it, and on a lot of websites it's transparent where you don't even notice it's on the side. So this store has lots and lots of applications or extensions that you can add to the browser. Another thing I like about it, since it's a Chromium based system, it will work with the Chrome Web Store so that you can choose your favorite extensions, add-ons. These are the ones that I use. Now, I don't put Translate on every browser. I only put Translate on browsers such as Yandex, which is a Russian browser, or in this case the NAVER Whale, because it does a great job at translating, and I'll show you in a few moments. But you can find anything that you could find on most of the Chromium-based web browsers and install it within this browser. So if you don't know how to go through the extensions here and click compatible store, I have a link here that you can click that will take you straight to the Chrome Web Store so you can install applications. If you'd like to install the ones that I recommend, you can click on these. Now the Translate one right here, like I said, I don't normally install this on most of my browsers because a lot of them has great translators. This one here, I noticed that when I tried to use the built-in translator, it didn't work as good as this one. Now this is not a this is a pretty new translator program, so it really don't have a lot of reviews or a lot of users, but I can say that it's good. You know, I think it was created sometime last year, and so it works great, so that's why I recommend it. Eventually, if it's not updated for a long period of time, I will try something that stays updated so it stays more secure. So these are the ones that I recommend. Now, let me show you why I like the Translate extension. If you click this here, you can see it's .com. Normally you think of a .com as being an English website, but when you click onto it, I've got it set where it opens in another tab, so that keeps my website open. If you look, it's in Korean language. My default language, or my native language I speak, is English and read English, but you can see this is a Korean browser, so this might not be for everyone. But with this extension here, I can right click on this web page, which is whale.naver.com, and here are the extensions that I have installed. Here's the Translate extension. Notice it's ... which I can click onto, and if I choose that little always translate this site, if I check that, which I will, I didn't earlier because I wanted to demonstrate it on this particular example video, and I hit translate, it will only take a few moments, and it will take that Korean language and translate it into the default language of your system. Or you can go in there and change it to whatever language that you would like to change it to. So as you can see here, it's taking it from a Korean language and translating it to American and English and UK English. So that way that it will interpret it according to your default language. Now it even did this. I didn't show you earlier. All these were Korean. It translated those as well. So when I scroll down now, it's doing it so quick. As I'm scrolling down, it's already English. But there are some websites that are much longer. As you scroll down, you'll immediately see it translate from Korean to English. So if I close this browser now, or tab, click on it again, since I chose to always convert, see how quickly it converted, not just up here, it converted the whole web page. So it will take a language from a different language, its native language, and convert it to your native language. So that's why I like this Translate extension. As you continue looking on, I'm just demonstrating the Translate extension as I've already showed you. And here is the way you can customize the look, and I already showed you how you can click that to customize the different wallpapers. You can change the widgets, you can change your background. In the settings, you can change what home page, you can change the home page button. And if you're using the built-in ad blocker along with uBlock Origin, along with pop-up blocker, if you go to sites like YouTube, and it's not just YouTube, it's a lot of video websites, instead of seeing all the ads on the side or watching advertisements, it will make those disappear where it goes straight into the video. And I already showed you a little bit about removing and viewing the sidebar. Now a lot of these applications, like I said, if you click onto them, they are going to be in the Korean language. But like on websites, if you're needing trouble, I do always like to put where you can get help. A lot of times people will message me on something that I've just tried that's new, and I'm not an expert on it. Like this browser here, I don't know a lot. As you can see from the very beginning of my web page, I installed it on August the 9th, and it's currently August the 20th, so I've been using it for about 11 days. I like to get familiar with it, so if someone does ask me a question, but I'm not an expert, so I like to put links to where they can get help. So it's got a user interface if you'd like to learn more about it, you can choose on these individual icons to learn more about it. As you can see, learn more about the sidebar and the links that are associated with the sidebar, how you can control your new tabs, the dual tabs. And you do have links up here. This is where you can screen capture, and there's different capture modes. There's the free select, where I can click on and freely select what I want, let go, and it's instantly freely select. I can say save it to my PC. I can put it on my clipboard so I can say, or I can say capture again. I can edit the image. You got some editing tools. So it's a great little screenshot tool built within the browser. You know, it's one of the best default screenshot tools I've seen on about any browser. You can choose auto select, so you can go to different section. Like I can choose that there, and that auto select that particular area. I didn't have to select something, it selected for me. Here I can say select the full page. As you can see here, this page is not very long, but it did get the entire page, and I could save it to my computer. The last one is just the screen capture of what's on the browser. It just screen captured the title bars, the whole screen. As you can see, it's got even my application title bar or toolbar across the top. So let me close that out. So it has a great screenshot tool. That way you don't have to install Nimbus or any of the other extension. It has one built in. You can select dual tabs. So if I wanted to copy this link, put it over here, I could switch back and forth between two websites. Like if I'm working on a web page, I can put what it looks like to the general public here, and this can be what I'm currently editing on. So if you're working with multiple tabs, you can select the two tabs extension. That works as a toggle switch where you can cut it on and off. Here allows you to open a side panel so that you can click one of these links. You can log in by clicking here. Now the next link, it's a little slow because it has to go to the Korean website, so I don't have an account, and let me show you here how you can create an account. When you click here, it allows you to log in. It also allows you to change your colors here, but when you click log in, it will open up this little dialog box allowing you to put in your username and password. You can save this to the actual password manager. Well, then if you don't have a username and password, you can go sign up, click this link here, and it will take you to where you have to agree. This is required, so you have to select this one. This one's required, but these are optional. You don't have to choose those, and you confirm. And once you get to the confirmation page, here's where you choose your username that adds @naver.com. So you will be given a new email address. I don't need a new email address. I have so many, I don't need to keep up with another one. You can then put your password, confirm your password, put your first name, last name, your date of birth, just put 4 digits, the month and day, choose what gender you are by clicking the drop down and choosing whether you're female, male, or other. You can put a recovery email, and that is optional. And then this is where you go down and choose what country you're from, and then enter your phone number and hit send. It will send it to your text on your cell phone. You put your verification code, and then you sign up. I didn't want to create an account. If ever I decide that I want to use the features that uses on their web-based system, I might, but for right now, just going over the browser, I did not do that. Now, as you can see, a while ago when I chose to import it from Firefox, so that's what this is. You can go to your bookmark manager. You can delete out bookmarks that were imported, and you can even choose your options here where you can enable or disable your bookmarks to be shown on up here at the top. So let me go and click this. I'm just going to take those off for right now. I'm going to say bookmark. I'm just going to delete those. I don't really care to have this up here. I'm going to delete this one as well, because while ago when I imported them, I didn't really mean to import everything from my Firefox browser. So now I have those deleted from here, and eventually you can remove that if you want to. But let me continue going through the browser. Here's your tabs that you see on the top where you can enable and disable how you can create your own account. And if you would like to use, this is mainly for teachers. And here's where the translate, I didn't have it set for this whalespace.io. So if I right click this, and I can choose translate, or I can go in the web page and I can choose translate, say always for this site, hit translate. Here it says from school to home. So if you're a teacher, it's very similar to Google's Google Classroom. So you can go here, get started. You can log into your classroom, and it has features built within Google. Whale Space is very similar, where you can video conference your students with teacher. You got your easy login. It shows you it works with multiple devices like PCs and cell phones. You got a lot of different tools made for it, and it's great for teaching and student. I'm not going to go over that because that's not really the browser. That's the features like with Google Chrome, some of the features that Google offers through using the Chrome browser. So if you'd like to know more about it, I do have the links for Whale Space and how you can compare it to Google Classroom. So this is just a quick rundown of the browser called NAVER Whale. Now, do I recommend it for everyone? At this moment, no, because if you're not familiar with using the Translate extension, a lot of the foreign sites that are default linked, when you click on them, may show up with the Korean language, and that might become a distraction and deter you away from it. If you're familiar with using the extension and setting those links to where they automatically convert, it's a nice browser. Is it a very private browser? Well, since it's from another country, I'm not sure. I'd kind of put it in the same category as the Yandex browser. It's a Russian browser. This is a South Korean browser, and I'm not stereotyping where they're from. I just don't know enough about them to say that this is a very private and secure browser. I do say that you can go into your privacy settings, and as long as you're using a password manager, that will help keep your passwords to where someone can't get a hold of them as easily. But it does have a nice look. This looks like it would be a menu, but it's just the icon of the NAVER Whale icon. So it does have a nice looking feel to it. And for the Ubuntu users that are not KDE, it has a kind of a KDE look and feel to it. I don't know if you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's just what it reminds me of. So hopefully this gives you a quick rundown on what the NAVER Whale browser is. And like I said, it's for multiple platforms. So if you're a Windows user, you can install it on a Windows machine. Now I know that when I did the Yandex, I do have one machine at my house that is used for the Plex Media server that I installed the Yandex browser, and each time that it updated, it was pretty aggressive at the way that it automatically installed things that boot up. So I took Yandex off my Windows system. So I can't say that this is aggressive like the Yandex on a Windows system or a Mac system, but it's not very aggressive on Linux. I have more control over it, and I haven't installed it on an Android device. So my Linux system is the only one I've installed it on. So if you install it on a Windows system and you notice that it appears to be pretty aggressive like the Yandex browser, you might want to leave a message in the comment section to help those that might be going to install it on a Windows system. So if it is aggressive, very similar to the Yandex browser in my experience. Hopefully this video has been helpful to you, and have a great day.